Welcome to Radio Ryder, the podcast for students by students.
I'm Lewis Thompson.
And I'm Connor Eager.
On this week's show, we have a debate about compulsory school events and some news and upcoming events around the school.
Let's get right into it. First, we've got some results from the recent Hamilton Exchange. Well done to all who participated. A special congratulations to the Colts football, under 15 hockey, and inline hockey teams who bet Hamilton and won their games.
Thursday, we have the much-anticipated haka competition that you've all been working towards during house assemblies. Be sure to get out there and give it your all to win points for your house.
On Monday, we have the Level 1 Business Studies Business Day. Bring some cash and support these budding entrepreneurs in their business ventures.
The speech finals are also coming up this Thursday the 15th. Come along and hear the best of the best in speeches that Boys High has to offer, 6:30 p.m. in Ryder Hall.
Also coming up is the Tauranga Exchange on the 18th of June, so make sure to get out and support your teams.
Looking further ahead, the WIT Science Fair is coming up from the 9th to the 11th of August. Registrations are now open until July 7th on their website, so register now.
And now for some news about the podcast. We're looking at accepting advertising. If you want to promote your school group, SCP, out-of-school clubs and or business, click the link in the description and get in touch. Now into the debate. We asked our Discord server for arguments for and against compulsory school events, such as swimming sports, tabloids, and watching the rugby.
And we have some very strong arguments here for and against this topic. Starting with an argument for, we're just going to say all these arguments anonymously. So one person has said to continue the school's tradition, understanding that thousands of students and boys before us have stood on the gully and participated in the haka and watched the rugby. It'll be quite unorthodox to simply stop them. Just decades of tradition going to waste. What was the point of them then? Also, the argumental person made the thing, they don't mind sitting outside on a sunny day with his mates. So that's one way to look at it, is just, yeah.
I mean, and it's quite a good point, sitting outside on a nice day is quite a lot of fun and just, watching a game.
Yeah.
Now one against, we've got one from this listener in saying that separating the houses into separate areas for swimming, sports and athletics, you're actually inspiring a sense of alienation, which can only breed hostility and a lack of fair play. It's an interesting idea, yeah.
I see where he's coming from there, but I think the alienation might just be a side effect from that. I think they want to breed competitiveness.
I mean, without competition, then it's not much fun, is it?
Yeah, I think the school's trying to do something fairly innocent, getting the competition going. It's supposed to be a bit of fun. But I suppose one side effect can be the toxicity of, polarizing the houses.
And the last thing you want is, someone being bullied just because, you're in Donnelly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not what you want. Now we have another for argument. So the only people complaining about having to go to things like this are people who are used to having everything their way. Even if you don't want to go and watch the rugby or swimming, it's such a minor inconvenience that honestly, who cares? That's a good point. It's also good to get people out doing stuff and being social or whatever, and most of the time, at the end of the day, you actually had a good time. Obviously, sometimes it's a bit of a waste, but again, who cares? All you have to do is sit around.
Good point, yeah.
That is a good point. I mean, I can see my only problem with missing out is if I've got my favorite subject. Like if I've got a really good subject going, I'm enjoying it, then I have to miss out on it.
Yeah.
That's a bit
and
of
then
a
it doesn't,
bummer.
you have to wait until tomorrow. Another one against now, we've got this one, which is quite a long one. Says that compulsory school events are rather pointless in the first place, as they specifically undermine what they are trying to achieve. A school event should be attended by people who are excited about a result, are interested in taking part, Or at the very least, they have succumbed to the bribe of a sausage sizzle or something of the like. In making such events compulsory, the soul is sucked out of them. People complain about watching the rugby and about cross-country, when really there should be, rightfully, a sense of wanting to take part. In making these events optional with a bribe, you invoke the carrot rather than stick, which is often seen as a far better form of motivation. This isn't even to mention the loss that is invoked when disrupting the school schedule of work. Yes, some loss is acceptable for those who aren't struggling or don't have internals. Making it optional will allow people to prioritize their work over some activities, and vice versa. It's a pretty good point, yeah.
That point about the internals especially, because I don't think most teachers would set the due dates with, these random, quotation marks, if you can call them random, they're probably pretty well planned. They probably don't, set the due dates of the internals with these compulsory events in mind.
I don't think they're planning for the next exchange when they set an assignment, no.
Yeah.
So that can throw a lot of your assignment up in the air if, one day you're working on it perfectly fine and it's, let's say due in a few days, and then you miss an entire period for one of these school events.
Yeah, especially, not so much the juniors really, more the seniors, where, what do they say, 10 hours of learning is worth 1 NCEA credit. So you're still missing out on whatever, that bit of learning, that bit of work.
I mean, and we all know how forgiving NCA is if you miss a piece of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have another 4 argument. So full school events strengthen inter-year level ties by providing an opportunity for all students to just be students and interact with older/younger students. These relationships give seniors an opportunity to be role models and juniors a chance to see the school values in action in a non-classroom environment. Yeah, so I can see that that's especially what Huriropu is trying to do, is instead of just having it in a year group, they're trying to have it vertical form. It's the old-fashioned term, I think. So, I get that, and especially for those senior students and those students who want to be leaders, it gives them somewhat of a stage to show how good of a leader they are.
And it gives them a chance to, just meet. Because I guess in most cases, a junior and a senior student wouldn't actually see each other very much because obviously they'll be in separate classes or completely different areas of the school.
Yeah, because back in primary school, I'm assuming a lot of people had, friend groups in the year above and the year below because all the classes were mixed.
Yep, definitely.
But here I suppose it can be a little bit. It's nice to be able to interact with different people, the same people of different ages. Yeah. It's
a very interesting point of, making sure that everyone is actually comfortable being around each other, to be honest.
Yeah, because especially on buses, I think there's a hierarchy on buses with, seniors in the back and juniors in the front. And the seniors sitting here for lunch where we've got to go somewhere else. Obviously, that's still a problem, somewhat of a problem. But this kind of just lessens it a little bit, makes everyone realise we're on the same boat.
Yeah. Because it's quite interesting seeing, around school, there's almost, territorial activities happening, where a group of students or friends will always sit in the same place, and that will be, quote, their place.
Yeah, it's always like that.
Okay, another one against. In the name of points, students are pressured to publicly demonstrate athletic ability. If the same was done for academics, like showing people's exam scores publicly, people would be outraged.
I think this is just a point of what you're exposed to. So you've been exposed to throughout, primary school, intermediate and juniors, and basically throughout your school life. The only thing where you can really be competitive is sports. No one's doing tests for competitions. That's never happened. There are far fewer prizes for academic excellence than sporting excellence.
Yeah, it's very true.
We have the last argument we've got here. Very compelling one as well. Sometimes you can't just opt out because you don't like it. In the workplace, you can't just skip work because you don't like it. It's teaching kids resilience and how to do things they may not be comfortable with, but to do it to the best of their ability anyway. So
it's quite a good point, yeah.
The one counter argument I can see with this is we get paid for going to work.
Yeah,
I
it's
see a
very
lot
true.
of kids who, they might want to go into apprenticeships or, do gateway or something like that, where they don't see as they're getting anything from, traditional school. So that's the only counter argument I can see, besides experience in school. But yeah, so that's the last of the arguments. I don't know, should we think of a winner? What side won this one, if any? So I'm just looking at the debates right now, and obviously both sides have really strong points.
It seems like quite an even argument, doesn't it?
It does. But based off, I think there isn't... Yeah, this is a very difficult one.
Because at the same time, from what I've got from this, there's kind of two main sides to this argument. One of, it's traditional, it's encouraging students to do different things, it's allowing students to meet where they normally wouldn't. And on the other side, it's detrimental to academic performance in some cases, for internals or for people who are struggling in school. And it's, quite boring in some cases.
So I'm thinking that the argument for is better, because another argument I have for this hasn't been written down. It's just the fact that if you're doing schoolwork and only schoolwork, that would just be boring. Like
What's that saying? It's like, isn't it all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy?
Yes, that's the saying. So yeah, it's exactly that. So I think the for argument, in my eyes, has won this due to the fact that it breaks up the monotonous school routine.
And even though you might not enjoy it for the hour that you're sitting there or for the day, in the case of something like swimming sports, in the end it is still, a nice change from school.
Yes, definitely.
That's all for this episode of Radio Ryder. If you want to get in touch with podcast ideas, interviews, or if you just want to say hi, join our Discord. The link's in the description.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.